Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I'll be looking into one of my favorite series being produced, The Blacklist, and ask 10 questions that need to be answered after the shocking Season 8 finale. First, if you have not yet seen said finale, please do not keep watching this video, and instead finish the 8th season of the show and come back here. But those of you that are still here and have seen the 8th season, you know that Elizbeth Keen was killed in the final episode, and the show has announced that both actors Megan Boone, who plays the character, as well as the show creator Jon Bokenkamp, are leaving the show. I think that us fans started to see the writing on the wall during the 8th season, with Liz being absent for almost half of it, but as the season progressed, it appeared that even if Boone were leaving the show, that perhaps there would be a way that she could return in the future. But odds are that will no longer be a possibility unless it is in a flashback of some sort, but I'm sure that the shadow of her death will be over the show for the near and not so near future, depending on how much longer the series will run. The show has been renewed for a 9th season, but this will no doubt be a much different series going forward, and it'll be interesting to see how longtime fans of the show react to this change. So here I thought I would look at 10 of the biggest questions left open after the finale, but let me know in the comments if there's anything else you think I missed. If this is your first time here, my name is Eric, and on this channel I talk about all the series and movies I love. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and think about subscribing. I do contests for subscribers all the time, and for this summer I'm giving away free Cobra Kai t-shirts to coincide with a video I did about the upcoming season of that show. If you want to try and win, all you have to do is be a subscriber and like and comment on a video, and you'll be in the running to win. Alright, so now let's talk about The Blacklist. The last episode of the season ended just moments after Elizbeth Keen is killed, and all we really see in the aftermath is how the characters present react. Her killer is shot dead in the street by Red, and we know that he was an associate of the main villain of the season, Neville Townsend, and he was acting purely out of revenge since his employer had just been killed by Red in the prior episode. Odds are that the first episode of the next season will spend some time dealing with the moments after, but I would not be surprised if this is followed by a time jump. In Season 3, you may remember that Liz staged her death to get away from Reddington, and we saw in depth how he reacted to her passing in the episode Cape May. I sincerely doubt the writers will show how the team, as well as Red, mourn immediately after Liz's death, if for no other reason because they have already done it before. Also, starting a season on a somber note for a character that has now left the show is kind of a bummer and may not be the best way to kick off this new version of the series. I believe the show will react similar to how they handled the death of Clark Middleton, which I thought was done extremely well, and have a tribute episode to Liz a few episodes into the 9th season. Another real-world event that may require the show to adapt its form of storytelling is that now we live in a world that has been affected by a pandemic. Since the 8th season did not allow for a passage of time after the 7th, the events of the 8th season presumably happened in 2019. I think it would be fascinating to see a man like Red have to navigate in this new normal and not be able to travel as he has been, or go out to his favorite restaurants because of the news of the world. This may actually create a whole new group of criminal masterminds to take advantage of the global crisis, and I can definitely see Red taking on these types of villains as a cause that he sees as just. This might also allow for a large passage of time between the seasons that might ease the brunt of the death of Liz on the main cast and characters. The show could move on and tell new stories more quickly, and it would not make these characters that were shown to be close friends of Liz less sympathetic if we knew they had 2 years or so to grieve. Not everyone realizes this, but the Blacklist lost 2 members of their crew that had been there since the beginning after their 8th season, and besides Megan Boone, series creator, showrunner, and executive producer Jon Bokenkamp has also left the show. John Eisendrath, who has worked as a writer and producer on the show since its first season, has taken over the reins of the series going forward, and his other credits include the series Alias, Felicity, Outlaw, and the short-lived Blacklist spin-off Redemption, which he created. Given that the series has now taken a hard left turn with the loss of one of the main characters, and one that was driving most of the serialized plotlines on the show, it makes sense that this is a good time to change the leadership as well. I think that going forward, we may actually see less stories that take seasons upon seasons to solve, and each mystery box storyline will be opened much quicker than we are used to seeing. Any fan of the show can attest to the fact that the 8th season was the one with the most exposition and actual answers to questions asked as far back as the pilot episode, even though of course not every question was answered in time. After a few false positives, it seems that we still do not know who Raymond Reddington actually is. In fact, I think the only person that we are sure that he is not is the actual Raymond Reddington, as we have seen that character die in multiple flashbacks. Even though the Blacklist site that we saw in the 8th season was destroyed, it appears that Neville Townsend was able to learn all of Red's secrets before he died after torturing multiple people close to Red throughout the season. One of these secrets was the actual identity of Red, and it is unclear what Townsend did with this information in between the time he learned it and his death. Knowing the penchant of the cerebral criminals on the show, it is possible that Townsend saved this information somewhere, and this file could be the next widget that everyone is searching for in Season 9. Also, if the Blacklist has been compromised because of the destruction of the site, it is possible that this will also lead to information about Red ending up in the wrong hands. Red has made plenty of enemies over the years, and if the existence of the Blacklist becomes public knowledge, this could put a new target on Red's back that puts him in a similar position that Katarina was in before she disappeared. A better question to ask than who is Red may be, does anyone care? Obviously, everyone in Red's life that does not already know this answer would like to know who he really is, but Liz was the one that had made it her mission for the better part of 7 years to find out this truth. Sadly, even before her death, she did not learn the whole truth behind the identity of Red, and now that she is gone, will anyone else besides the viewer really care? Even Townsend, after he learned this information, only wanted to use it to hurt Red by killing Liz, but now no one can hurt Red with his information like that since she is deceased. With Liz out of the picture, I don't see how the information of his identity would be valuable to anyone trying to hurt him in any way. However, I do not see how the producers could end this show without divulging this piece of information to us long-suffering viewers who have held out for years with different theories as to this truth. So I do believe this information will still come out at some point before the show is ended. I just do not see how the knowledge of his true identity could be a driving piece of any future narrative as it has been. One of the parts of the 8th season of The Blacklist that was confusing to me was the plot that Red was dying from some illness, which seemed to waver from being very important to the story to not being an issue. So much so that at the end of the season, I did not believe that Red was sick anymore, and that his plan to have Liz kill him was another shell-type game situation that would somehow allow for Liz to escape. Again, now that Liz is gone and she cannot take over for him, will we find out that Red was not sick, or will he just get better? I really do think there will be years between the 8th and 9th season, and if this is true, it would allow for a breakthrough to be realized for him to be cured, but I also think there's a good chance we'll find out that his plan was in fact a ruse and he was not sick, or not as sick as he was letting on, or will be cured somehow. If James Spader as Red will be headlining the show going forward, it will have to be a vibrant version of the character, which is why I do not believe we will see him sick or mourning once the next season starts. Another long-suffering plotline has become the identity and whereabouts of Liz's mother Katarina. After including an older version of the character for a good part of the last 2 seasons, we learned that she was in fact not Katarina, and instead was a woman that the real version trained to be her. This of course means that Katarina Rostova could still be alive, and may be a part of the series going forward. Knowing how protective Red was of Liz, I would be surprised if her mother does not react to learning of the passing of her daughter, and even though she was not in her life, may seek revenge on Red for this happening. Having her character be a part of the Blacklist series going forward would be a good way to keep part of the Elizbeth Keen character going on the show, since Katarina's motivations would no doubt be fueled by the death of her daughter. There's also a fan theory that Red is in fact Katarina, and not only had plastic surgery, but also a sex change before becoming Raymond Reddington. There are some interesting Reddit posts out there that link similarities between the younger version of the character and the older version of Red. I've always thought that whenever they use Katarina, her red hair is very prominent, and the older version of her did not have prominent red hair, but of course Raymond's nickname is Red, which could be hinting at this plot twist. Besides Katarina, with Liz gone, there is a good chance that the producers will bring back other characters to fill the void, even if on a temporary basis. The first name that seems to come to every fan's mind is Tom Keen, who is played very well by Ryan Eggold, so much so that he led the Blacklist spin-off Redemption for its 1 season. There are 2 very large roadblocks in the way of this return, however, the first being that Tom Keen was shown to be very dead in his last appearance that was not a flashback. In fact, because of the duplicitous nature of the show, I believe they made it a point to show the dead body of the character, if for no other reason to drive home the fact to fans that this guy was not coming back. Also, Ryan Eggold is now the star of his own series named New Amsterdam that has been renewed for like 3 more seasons already, so he does not have the time to work on another full-time show. Another very popular character that has been brought up is Samar Navabi, who was played by Mauzan Marneau. Her character was whisked away by Red to parts unknown after an injury, but this also leaves the door open for her to make a miraculous recovery and come back to the show. I know that would make Aram happy and all of us fans of their relationship. Famke Janssen as Susan Hargrave is another character that could return, as she was involved in the spin-off that now showrunner John Eisendrath created as well. I think that not having Liz for basically half of the 8th season gave the writers an opportunity to see what the show would look like in this state, and I look forward to seeing how the stories will develop in this new world. I think the largest question on everyone's mind now is, what will be the point of the series now that there is no Agent Elizbeth Keen and possibly no Blacklist? The original premise was based around a deal the FBI had with Reddington which involved him working with them through Agent Keen to arrest criminals that Red was aware of. Not only is Agent Keen no longer on the show, but the Blacklist itself has been destroyed after being explained as an organization based around mining incriminating intelligence to keep Liz safe. So besides the fact that now Red has no reason to work with the FBI, what reason does he now have to keep the Blacklist going? The last time he thought Liz died, he threw himself in an opium-induced stupor, but upon his resurrection, he was shown to be very ruthless and determined, which led to his war with Mr. Kaplan. But the FBI task force will not be looking for revenge, since Liz's killer was found dead just yards away from her, so what will be the point of them working with Reddington? I also wouldn't be surprised if we see big changes in some of these characters, especially Wrestler, who was in love with Liz, as well as Agent Park, who was beginning to fall under the thumb of Reddington since her introduction on the show. This one may be a bit more personal, as it has always bugged me that most of the episode titles contain a person's name and a number, with Elizbeth Keen ending up as the #1 name on the Blacklist, and we still don't know what the numbers mean. Since the show is now going on 170 episodes, it has become a lot looser with this format, as the original Blacklist I believe was said to have about 160 names, and now it is going on 200. But I really want to know why people on the list are numbered like they are, and if the show does not explain this, I think it would be a travesty. I have two theories going, especially now that since we know Liz is #1 on the list. First, the numbers could be how close each person on the list is to Red personally, which would in reality be a list of how dangerous each person on the list is in regard to Red. But now that we know that the Blacklist is an organization based on data, I wouldn't be surprised if these are the sequential case number files created while compiling data. It would make sense that Liz is #1 since the organization was created to protect her, and most of the lower numbers on the list are individuals that had long-standing criminal careers that almost definitely started before the Blacklist was created. In the top 10, we only do not know who the second person on the list is behind Liz, so this leaves the door open for the next big bad on the show, and perhaps the character that really puts an end to the Blacklist. Well, that is everything I need answered on the Blacklist, but let me know in the comments if you have any other questions or any theories about something I brought up. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Please hit that like button and subscribe button if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?